Hi, my loves. Welcome back to the Spiritual Science Podcast. So, this being a science podcast as well, let's experiment with these episodes and let me just share some stuff that I'm going through because, we're always growing and evolving along this journey. And so, as someone that is teaching this wisdom, if I'm not growing, then I can't really be a teacher because then I'll stay stagnant. And boy, has life initiated me. Okay, so the quote that came to me, I just love quotes that hit so deep because it puts to words the emotional state that I am feeling. And I came upon the quote of the love that you withhold is the pain that you are experiencing. And I'm like, interesting. Okay, so I know love comes from the heart. And pain is really, when it's internal, it's an invisible pain, it's an invisible struggle, but that invisible pain is all coming from the mind. It's the thoughts that we think that create the pain in our body. And so I sat with this and I was just like, oh, that's so interesting. The love that I withhold is the pain that I'm experiencing. And as you evolve and grow, and as you become more sensitive to energies and your own energy system and the energies within you, it's a beautiful superpower because you are able to tap into a level of intuition that others currently just aren't practicing. But I'm just like you, so if you practice this energy work and tapping into your internal state of being, then you too can achieve higher levels of awareness. But it's a double-edged sword because with higher levels of awareness come higher sensitivity, and that could be good or bad. So maybe I shouldn't code it as bad, but that's honestly how I'm feeling. So I'm gonna like stop spiritually bypassing myself. So the as your awareness grows, the pain becomes more subtle and you don't know what it is or necessarily how to name it or how to describe what you are experiencing. Because as I've evolved and grown and healed all of the darkness, not all of it, I mean, there's probably still some darkness in there because you have to be dark and light, dualistic society and world. But as I have cleared a lot of my darkness, it has allowed me to fill myself up with light and become more sensitive. But with that heightened awareness, the subtleties that get stuck in my body or the emotions that get stuck in my body, I can no longer ignore. And so, what does that mean? So, that means that there is something in my body that I was feeling like it was just almost like a low level dread, and I could not explain it for the life of me. Been experiencing it for a few months, and I like to call this integration and initiation on higher levels of awareness. But with that, I didn't know what was happening. I was just like, I used to feel so good a few months ago, and now I just feel like crap. What is that? And last night, when I happened to sit with this quote, I realized that I was withholding love. And, a great intention of mine when I started my spiritual awakening or when I awoke to the spirit within me, my intention was to live from the heart and just to be a pure expression of love and joy. And I forgot that. I forgot that that was my purpose and I strayed from it, and that's why I felt like crap. That's why I felt stuck. That's why I couldn't create things that I knew. It's almost like I knew the creations of what I wanted to put out were like right here, but I just couldn't get to them. And I was blocked, and I just felt like, oh, I've been resting. I was sick for a few weeks, but I'm still like just stuck. What is this? So I sat with my heart. I tuned in. I said, what is this? What are we feeling? What do we need? And I realized that I needed greater levels of self love and compassion because I was too much in my mind, and that was causing the dread and the suffering. And in subtle ways, not like drastic ways that I would become aware of and be like, oh, that's what that is. But it was just like limitation, bringing me back to old ways of being, old ways of thinking, in subtle ways. And so I sat with that and I was like, okay, I know the mind is limited, it's a part of me, but the heart needs to be the commander in chief. It needs to direct the mind. And so, because the heart is truly unlimited, when you tap into the heart, it just, it sounds so cliche, but it's honestly the truth that I experience in this world. When I do things from the heart, synchronicities, life feels easier, life is fun, it's just flowing, life is happy. But when I do the opposite and go with my head and think with my logical mind, it is very limited. It is limited to my past experiences and limited to the present moment of my past experiences, which would lead me to the same future. So I realized this last night. I was like, okay, so how do I do this? How do I tap back into my heart realistically in a grounded way? How do I do this? And I'm like, okay, well, I know that I'm withholding love because there is a piece of me that deep down knows I don't need someone to be okay in this world, but it would be so nice to be with your soul to soul connection, your forever person. Like, it would just be so nice, like, to experience life with that person, wouldn't it? Like, you don't want to do it alone, even though you know you can, and you're okay with not settling because you're not going to settle. You've done all this work, so your body won't let you settle for someone that is not of the same caliber or vibration. Well, my body won't anymore. It will literally react and just, I will look in the mirror and be like, you don't look like yourself. And that's how I know. And so I sat with that and I was like, yeah, that was one of my visions for 2026. So I really need to start envisioning that future for myself. So I created a vision board with images that put me into the scene and the perspective of already having that relationship. So imagining myself like looking at these pictures and being like, oh, that was me from so and so ago, like already experiencing that reality without it physically being present at the moment. Because when we experience those feelings, then we are able to tap into a greater level of magic and attract that person to us faster once we get clarity on that. So I did that. I was like, okay, that feels good. I have a clear vision of what it's going to feel like, the experiences that we're going to have, how the person is kind, and how they literally are my biggest supporter. And just having someone to support and anchor me in this world, I could feel truly safe to, expand to who new levels and who I'm meant to be. And so I created a playlist of love songs that would coincide with that vision. And I asked for Spirit for some just help to tap into that energy. And it's so funny because Spirit responded with a song that just blew me away. And I was instantly in the feeling of love. And it just enveloped me. And I was just like, oh, if I just tap into this energy, already living like the experience happened and imagining it, and just living from that each day, whether it's like 5 minutes or whenever I'm feeling low, I can just use that as my tool and just use that for now. And then whatever comes, comes. But that feels like it's my reality and it feels good as if it already happened. So let me just do that. And so that is what I'm currently doing. And it feels so good. And it's allowing myself to be self compassionate and also take me back to times when I was a kid. And I realized that I was already doing these things without knowing what I was doing, because now that I have the level of awareness that I have, I'm able to realize that as a kid, so I played soccer my entire life. And what I would do as a kid, I had a Walkman at the time, like those little like CD things. So the song is so funny. I don't know why this song resonated with me, probably because I loved sugar and my mom would never let me have sugar because I'd be like way too hyper. But it was Def Leppard, Pour Some Sugar on Me. I would listen to that song on the way to a soccer game and I would just envision myself, I would close my eyes and just imagine myself getting the ball, dribbling, juking people out, and then scoring. And every time I did that, I would score at that game that I was going to. So I'm like, okay, I can already do this. So let me just continue to do this because I did as a kid. What's different now? Nothing, just my limitation beliefs in my mind. But I would just literally feel the experience happening on the way to my games, then it would happen. So that is what I'm currently practicing in order to find more self love in a way that feels good to me. Because when people say self love, I'm just like, yeah, I love myself. Like, of course, like I would do anything for myself. But as you know, become more of who you're meant to be on this path, certain tools that used to work for you will no longer work. So I'm like creating my own tools that feel good to me. And this one feels great. And so, yeah, I just want you to know that if you are feeling stuck or like nothing is happening, I need to do something because nothing is happening and this dread just feels unbearable, I feel you. I went through it and it may peek its ugly head again, but I'll just tap back into this practice. And if this practice resonates with you, then I suggest that you try it because it's a good experiment and see how you feel after. But yeah, these growing pains are invisible growing pains and they're energetic growing pains and they're beautiful because I can literally feel more connected to my energy system and knowing when something is out of alignment. But it's a practice, it's a daily practice. As you become more sensitive, you do have to practice more self-love and tapping into taking moments of stillness just to get grounded in your own energy because the world can be chaotic and that's just the world. But yeah, just know that everything always does truly work out for us, how it's meant to work out for us. And you know, it may be scary to trust that everything will be okay, but if you just tap into your heart, and there's various ways you could do that, like what I shared, then everything's going to be okay because it's our mind that is trying to protect us and that is limited and that just thinks that it knows it all, but it doesn't. Our heart does. So let me just make sure there's nothing else that I wanted to add here on this podcast because I was journaling last night. I was like, oh, I got so much to say. Yeah, I think that's it. Yeah, and just one last thing I wanted to note. Be kind to yourself. Treat yourself like you would a friend because I constantly have to tell myself that and I forget because I'll be like, you're not doing enough. Like, that's not good enough. And it's really just a voice that's not even ours. So if you catch yourself becoming unconscious and thinking these thoughts that, you're not enough or you can't do it, or just anything that limits you from your dream life, stop yourself and be like, is this loving to me? Is this being loving to me right now? And you know what, it probably is not if you're becoming aware of like these patterns. And so just stop yourself and forgive yourself, being like, I know you're scared, that's okay, but you're not serving me anymore, so I need to let you go. And that's a good way of just reflecting some self love and self compassion to yourself, acknowledging that you're thinking those thoughts, not dismissing those thoughts because those thoughts are there for a reason, and just letting it know that you don't need it anymore. And I'm just looking right now, and it's so beautiful because there is, oh, do you see the rainbows? So that's Spirit's way of letting us know that they're here with us and that anything is possible as long as you feel, express, and open yourself up to more levels of love and more levels of your own heart. And with that, my loves, I love you so much, and I hope that this has helped you in some way. If you're feeling similar feelings, if you could like this video, I would greatly appreciate that because I am trying this podcast YouTube thing full stop. Like, this has been one of my visions and dreams for my life. So if you could support me and by subscribing, by liking, by sharing anything, I would greatly appreciate that. And until next time, bye.